Hi, Controlled Chaos here, and in this video I want to go over a video that another YouTuber did in No Man's Sky talking about the game developers and how they basically were being rushed or not doing that great of a quality of a job in making these pirate or outlaw space stations. So, in that, I'm going to tell you why they've done these things, and there's multiple reasons. So, first, let's go ahead and get into how to do this. First, you want to sit down in a chair like I have done here. Then, you want to bring up your camera, act like you're going to take a screenshot. Then, you want to back out of taking a screenshot, go in, take a screenshot again. This will put you, as you can see here, inside the space station. Now, you're going to zoom through as I'm working through here to get out of the space station's buildings. So you can see I now have sky or space showing up. Now, what he talks about is this stuff outside here. The areas you cannot access within the game without doing this glitch. Now, he talks about how there's areas like this that are fully built out parts of the original space stations, or as this one is showing, abandoned space stations. Now, he talks about how this is either being rushed too much or poor quality workmanship or just the developers being lazy. Now, I'm going to, in a way, debunk this because there are multiple reasons game developers do this kind of thing. And the reasons is one, the rendering engine they're using, if they set it up to only render what is in view of the player, which all good game developers do, and it's something that Microsoft and Sony recommend for putting their games on the console to help keep FPS down, is always a good thing to do. And these developers have done it. And in that fact, there's no reason to waste your time getting rid of all this stuff if it's not going to be rendered. You're wasting time and manpower resources and stuff like that just to get rid of this stuff. Two is, if these parts of the station are actually modeled and connected in. So let me zoom in here and see if they're actually connected in any way. It's so hard to tell with these different pieces that they have in here. But from what I'm seeing, they're not fully connected. But there's another reason to keep this all here. And that reason is what if in the future they want to do an update to the Pirates or the Outlaws space station and give access to these rooms. If they delete these, they're going to have to reconfigure them, take the manpower time and stuff like that, and put these back in. Whereas right now, they're already here. So if they do the update, they just have to do some quick cleanups and changes and nothing else. And so it makes for a quicker, better update when they decide to expand that area and give use to these rooms. That's another reason to keep these in here. So in overall, you gotta think that these developers are on a timeline. They have deadlines to do this stuff. These developers weren't being lazy with this update at all for these space stations. They went through and they did a bunch of stuff in this game to add to this kind of things. So as you can see here with these 3D models, they've put in new 3D models. You don't see this wiring really used anywhere else much in regular space, maybe further back, but then you also have this ramp. It's not much to make this ramp. It's an easy 3D modeling. The most effort was in the texturing and the UV mapping for this model. But then you have other things that you look in these pirate space stations, and you got this area here, this bunker look that had to be 3D modeled out. You got other things in here that needed to be 3D modeled that are somewhat simplistic, but texture wise are a bit complex that need to be modeled out. You need to do certain particle effects and changes to this broken down station core and all this kind of stuff that was done. So with that being said, there's a lot to be done here. These stairs here that need to be put in, and creating this kiosk area within the space station. They had to take the time and make it so that this opens up and is hollowed out, and all of this fits in well and looks well in that section. So their time was spent making this look good, and that's important. Now, with that being said, this is what I'd rather be spending my time as a developer working on, instead of too busy removing things from the game that the player's not going to see and that the game engine's not going to render or affect the game in any way. It makes, like I've been saying, the bigger bang for the buck. You're getting more for what time you have in working in the game. They have to figure out what's better use of their times. Making these space stations look the way they're supposed to be and different from other space stations, such as adding in these kiosks areas and some of the new 3D modeled stuff and placing stuff, or do they want to waste their time going through and taking away stuff that isn't going to be accessed or seen by the players or rendered by the game engine itself? So with that all being thought, as a game developer myself and working for companies like Microsoft, you really want to budget your time, and their time's better spent perfectly placing all this stuff to make it the way it needs to look for all of this. And that's important. So if you're having to block off an area and not remove that area you're blocking off, that's better time spent. That's a bang for your buck. You're maximizing all your skills and your efforts without wasting time or money, and that's a smart move. And considering that this is a free update, this cost us nothing to get this Outlaws update. Now that you know why game developers do stuff like this, I want to know what your thoughts on them leaving stuff like this in the game is. What are your thoughts of what they might do with this in the future? My personal thoughts on this is that they're going to utilize these areas. That's why they kept it in. They want to do some expansions on this in the future, and this will make it easier for them. I hope you found this content enjoyable and you have a good day.